Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Nanda Wirdayarti. I'm from 6th semester of English department, and now I will explain about sociolinguistic lesson from chapter 5, and the title is National Language and Language Planning. Let's get started. A national language is the language of a political, cultural, and social unit. It's generally developed and used as a symbol of national unity. Its functions are to identify the nation and unite the people of the nation. The example, Swahili in Tanzania and Hebrew in Israel. An official language, by contrast, is simply a language which may be used for government business. Its function is primarily utilitarian rather than symbolic. It is possible for one language to serve both functions. And the example, Filipino and English in Philippines. A language can serve both roles as national official language. The example, Indonesia in Indonesia. Official status and minority language. Many minorities would like to gain official status for their language, but the cost in terms of providing service and information in all official languages are considerable, and most governments count them carefully. The example, first, Malay in Malaysia, and second, English in Pakistan. What prize a national language? Many countries have regarded the development of a single national language as a way of symbolizing the unity of a nation. Over the last 100 years, nationhood and independence have been very important political issues throughout the world. In the struggle to establish a distinct national identity and to secure independence from colonial rule, the development of a national language have often played an important part. The symbolic value of a national language as a unified rallying point in the fight of independence was quickly appreciated. Planning for a national official language. Form, function, and attitude. There are generally four interrelated steps. First, selection, choosing the variety or code to be developed. Second, codification, standardizing a structural or linguistic feature. This kind of linguistic processing is sometimes called corpus planning. Third, elaboration, extending its function for use in new domains. This involves developing the necessary linguistic resource for handling new concepts and contexts. Fourth, securing its acceptance. The status of the new variety is important, and so people's attitude to the variety being developed must be considered. Tanzania, for selecting a code. Second, codifying and elaborating Swahili. Third, attitudes to Swahili. First, choose Swahili, a language of the Bantu language family, which was widely used throughout the country as a lingua franca in many contexts. There were some obvious reasons for his choice. Some where pragmatic Swahili was already the medium of primary education, for instance, and so all Tanzanians learned the language at school. Other obvious reasons were more ideological. 96% of Tanzania's languages are Bantu languages, like Swahili, so it could be clearly identified as a Africa language. Second, the process of standardizing Swahili was begun by the British administration well before independence. In the 1920s, a shorter variety of Swahili used in Zanzibar was selected as the basis of the standard. The fact that it was being used in primary education and for administration means standardization was essential. Its codification involved developing a standard spelling system, describe the grammar of the variety selected as the new standard, and writing a dictionary to record its vocabulary following Tanzanian independence. Third, the story of the acceptance of Swahili as the national language of Tanzania is therefore an interesting one. Swahili serves as a lingua franca in a country with hundreds of different tribal vernaculars. It provides an economical solution to the problem of which language to use for local administration and primary education. It provides a culturally acceptable symbol of unity. Linguistic diversity can seem problematic to those working for political unification. It is potentially divisive. Swahili has provided a very convenient compromise in Tanzania, developing a standard variety in Norway, codifying and elaborating. In Norway, as in many more recently developing nations, things have not been so simple. The government has considered it necessary to make deliberate choice to accelerate the process of language standardization and to legislate on the status of particular varieties. It is clear that language planning is a fascinating mixture of political and social consideration, as well as linguistic one. Selecting a code. One approach selects a variety based on Danish, with some orthographic and morphological modification based on education. Urban Norwegian speech this eventually developed into Bokmål, the variety mentioned in the description of Hemnesberget in Chapter 1. The other approach creates a new Norwegian written standard by drawing on a range of rural Norwegian dialects. It was first called Landsmål, and later, after several reforms, Nynorsk. The linguist's role in language planning. Language academies, commit and commission are interested in language planning. Individuals can be language planner too, mainly sociolinguistic and lexicographer. Example, the Kanak Language Academy. Developing vocabulary. In advising others on usage, they are often faced with the dilemma of which of these options to recommend. First, a word borrowed from English. Second, an equivalent Maori word which is perhaps not well known or with a slightly different meaning which could be adapted. Third, a word newly created from Maori resource. Acceptance. In Singapore, the government Speak Mandarin campaign has been similarly successful in persuading the dialect-speaking Chinese population to switch within the space of a generation to Mandarin from Hokkaido, Cantonese, and etc. Acquisition planning. In Tanzania, Norway, Singapore, and many other countries, the education system play a crucial role in acquisition planning. An issue of access, curriculum, methodology, and evaluation are decided by government departments. And finally, conclusion. We have seen, for instance, that language planner might need to develop a variety of words into new domains, as with Swahili, Tokpis in Indonesian, and Ninorks, or alternatively downwards into new domains, as in the case of Hebrew, Bokmal, and to some extent Mandarin Chinese. Thank you for attention. I hope you are happy. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.